Hi, this is how you remove your old washing machine and install a new one. A fairly standard procedure nowadays that you can most of the time do on your own if you want to. Only thing to really keep in mind here is if you got a washing machine that is directly connected to the wall like so. In this case, you will need to have an electrician do that specific bit of the installation. But if you got a normal wall plug like we do here, you're all good to go. Tool-wise, we're just going to need a normal flathead and a Phillips screwdriver, as well as possibly a spanner and also a leveler for making sure the machine is positioned correctly. Also, moving a washing machine longer distances is best to do using a dolly and then carefully lifting the machine up and inserting the dolly underneath it on either the left or the right side, not the front or the back, at least not on these type of front-loading machines. Then use your body as a counterweight when lifting the machine up and putting it down. Also, if you need to move the machine around inside and want to drag it around on the floor, one tip here is to insert a thick blanket or duvet that you don't really care that much about underneath the machine and then just pull it around on that. Alright, let's go. Before we start disconnecting the old machine, it is always a good thing to make sure there's no water or liquids in the detergent drawer. To make sure there's no excess water in the machine, you can also run a short emptying program here. Lastly, also open the door to the filter down on the right usually and unscrew it to let any excess water out from there as well. After this, we move our old machine a little bit out of the way to get a better view of what's behind it. Then we start by removing the power cable and then turning the water off. This might look a little different depending on how and where your machine is connected, but there should always be some kind of turn off on valve that the machine is connected to. We then unscrew the nozzle to the water inlet hose and put it to the side. Here some water is usually left in the hose, so don't be afraid when some of it leaks out. We then unscrew the Jubilee clip holding the drainage pipe in place and then remove it from the drain like so. Now the machine is completely disconnected and we can physically remove it from where it stands. One thing to note here is that if you're going to move the machine to any other place than the dump and you want to actually use the machine again, you need to screw in the transit bolts that originally came with the machine and should probably be lying in a cupboard or a storage unit somewhere in your home. These little transit bolts hold the drum, the big thing that spins inside the machine, in place during transportation and prevent the machine from breaking. Alright, out with the old and in with the new. Here we start by moving the new machine as close as we can to where it's supposed to be installed while still having good access to the back of it and to the wall. Before proceeding, it's also a good thing to just take a look in the machine's manual in case there's any specific things to consider for your specific machine. Some machines can, for example, have packaging material underneath that needs to be removed as well. Also, if you can't find the manual or anything that should come with the machine, these items are usually stored within the machine, so just open the front door to get everything out. Then, with the packaging removed, we take a look at the back of the machine, where everything is very similar to our old machine. First, we have the drainage pipe that we make sure to just put to the side. Also make sure here to not unscrew this screw if you got one of those, because the drainage pipe should always exit the machine going upwards to prevent leaks and ensure correct operation of the machine. Then we use a spanner, or in this case the included spanner tool, to remove all of the transit bolts from the back of the machine. Make sure here to keep this if you ever want to move the machine again, since they are again used to hold the drum in place while moving the machine around. Also make extra sure here to remove all of the transit bolts, usually there's 4 or 5 of them, since having them in while running the machine will most likely break it. On this specific machine, we can't even get access to the power cable unless one of the transit bolts gets removed. To prevent dust and other things from entering the machine from the back, we also mount these small caps included with the machine on the holes once the transit bolts are out. Then it's time to mount the water intake pipe that is supposed to bring cold water to the machine. On the vast majority of washing machines these days, the water gets heated in the machine, so there's no need to connect any hot water to it. The intake hose is usually stored within the machine, so open the machine up and get that out if you haven't already. The water intake pipe usually has one straight end and one 90-degree one. Here, first make sure that the rubber gasket inside both ends are still sitting in place, since they are used for sealing the connection between the machine and the water. wall. Sometimes these little gaskets can fall out in the packaging, and if it has, just put it back in. Then use the 90-degree connector and fasten it on the water intake nozzle on the washing machine. Do not over tighten these, but just use normal hand force to make it sit securely. Now it is just a matter of connecting the machine to the wall. Here you can start with either the water intake pipe or the drainage one. First, also make sure to move the machine close enough to the wall so that all the pipes and hoses can reach their respective positions. I'm starting here by fastening the drainage pipe to where we just removed the old one from by fastening the Jubilee clip like so. The nozzle here is the newer type of plumbing nozzle for drainage water from washing machines. However, there are also variants where you just put the pipe slightly down another drainage pipe and just leave it there. This blue piece here is not really needed and just something that is used for keeping the drainage pipe neatly curved here to make it last a little bit longer and prevent any blockage. We then screw the straight end of the water inlet pipe onto the water pipe valve and then tightening it using normal hand force. After this, we turn the water valve to on. Here you should feel water flowing into the inlet pipe and to the machine. At this point, it is also important to check for any leaks, mainly where we just connected the water inlet hose to the washing machine as well as to the wall. If there's any leak, turn the water off and redo the water inlet hose installation, making sure all rubber gaskets are positioned correctly and are not broken. After this, we plug the power cable in, move the machine into position and take a look at the feet of the machine. Here the wash machine needs to be completely level to not jump around when it's washing and centrifuging. For this, we just put our leveler on top of the machine, first in one direction and then in the other, and unscrew each leg as needed and then fastening them by tightening the bolt on each leg against the bottom of the machine. This can be a little tricky to do alone since the machine is usually fairly heavy, but using your body weight against the machine, it can usually be lifted up enough to be able to screw each leg up or down a little bit. Then we remove the last of the packaging and power on the machine. Before actually doing the first normal wash here, it's always a good thing to just run a short normal program without any washing in the machine to make sure there are no water leaking anywhere. Alright, well done, and that is actually about that. Please though share any thoughts or questions in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you for watching. Bye.